Let me begin by telling you something that will shake you to your core. You were not born to live a life of defeat. You were not created to be crushed under the weight of fear, failure, or doubt. You were not placed on this earth to beg for scraps of joy or plead for bits of peace. You were formed by the hand of God Himself, shaped in silence by the Almighty, who whispered into the dust and brought forth purpose, vision, and destiny. And when God formed you, He planted within you the seed of success, not the success the world defines, but the kind of success no demon, no circumstance can take away. The success that is born from obedience. The success that flows from surrender. The success that arises when a soul aligns fully, fearlessly, and faithfully with the will of God. If you're searching for the secret to attracting success, hear me clearly. Success is not found in striving harder, it is found in trusting deeper. The world will tell you to hustle, to grind, to outwork everyone in the room. And while discipline has its place, let me declare this truth to your spirit. Success begins on your knees. Success is attracted by surrender. Success runs toward the soul that refuses to move without God's guidance. You want to attract success? Then check the soil of your life. Because God will not plant greatness in corrupted ground. You must cleanse your heart. Purify your intentions. Rid yourself of bitterness, envy, pride, and fear. These are weeds that choke the seeds of God's favor. You can't harbor jealousy and expect peace. You can't curse others and expect blessing. You can't live two-faced and expect God to honor your path. God does not bless pretenders. He blesses the pure in heart. Those who are real, honest, broken before Him. Listen closely. The power to succeed is not in what you do, but in who you become under the weight of God's presence. When you begin to hunger for righteousness more than riches, when you long for purpose more than platforms, when you seek the face of God more than the praise of men, then success will chase you down. Doors will open that no man can shut. Opportunities will emerge in places others gave up on. You won't have to fight for attention because God will highlight your name in the places it matters most. But you cannot attract what you secretly despise. Some of you are asking for success while speaking failure. You say you want to rise, but you live like you're meant to be buried. You speak against yourself. You doubt your calling. You shrink in fear when God calls you forward. Let me tell you, if you continue to speak death over your own life, don't be surprised when it shows up at your door. There is power in the words you speak, and the first sign of someone walking with God is not just clean hands, but a clean mouth. Stop calling yourself unworthy when God calls you chosen. Stop saying you'll never make it when God has already paved the way. Stop looking at your past like it's a prison when God has already turned the key. You want to attract success? Then start aligning your language with God's promises. Speak what He says. Declare what He's written. Stand in the truth, even when the facts around you scream failure. Now let me go deeper. Success is not attracted to the lazy. The world may reward shortcuts, but God honors diligence. Not busyness, but spiritual diligence. Wake up and seek God. Open your day with gratitude. Carry yourself like someone sent by heaven. Make excellence your standard, not to impress man, but to reflect the glory of God who lives in you. Clean your room. Show up early. Speak with integrity. Do the hidden work. Because God blesses what is done in secret long before He reveals it in public. Too many want a throne without carrying the towel. They want spotlight but despise preparation. They crave applause but run from correction. Let me remind you, God cannot anoint what your pride refuses to surrender. Until you are willing to humble yourself and be taught, you will attract confusion instead of clarity. You will draw drama instead of direction. Because pride attracts destruction, but humility attracts success. Success also comes to those who learn to wait. Oh, this is where many fall short. You see others rising, you hear their names celebrated. You watch them thrive while you still struggle. But don't be deceived. Sometimes, God hides your greatness so He can build your character. Sometimes He withholds the stage so He can strengthen your spirit. Because the worst thing is to be elevated before you're ready. Success is heavy, and God will not allow it to crush you. So He delays not to deny you, but to develop you. You want to attract success? Then rejoice, even when you are not seen. Celebrate, even when no one claps. Obey, even when no one watches. That's when God smiles. That's when the heavens open. That's when favor finds you not in the spotlight, but in the quiet places where your heart is tested. Let me speak to the soul that feels forgotten. The one who gave and gave but received nothing in return. Hear me, God has not overlooked your faithfulness. He has not ignored your silent prayers or your tears that soak the pillow in the night. He saw when you helped others while needing help yourself. He saw when you kept smiling while carrying wounds. And in due time, oh yes, in His perfect time, He will elevate you. Not because of connections, but because of covenant. Not because of influence, but because of intimacy with Him. Let me remind you, success is spiritual warfare. The enemy doesn't fight those who are already bound. He fights those who are about to break through. That's why your journey has been hard. That's why the betrayal came. That's why the attack increased when you made up your mind to walk with God. But listen, mere resistance is proof of your assignment. The enemy wouldn't bother you if your future didn't scare him. So stand firm. Keep pressing. Keep believing. Your pain is not punishment, it's preparation. Stop trying to be like everyone else. Success is attracted to those who are authentically obedient to God, not cheap copies of culture. You were not born to blend in. You were born to stand out not by being loud, but by being anchored in truth. God did not call you to be trendy. He called you to be timeless. He called you to walk with holiness, courage, and conviction. And when you live like that, you attract what money can't buy: peace, favor, access, and divine alignment. And let me tell you this, you must protect your circle. Because not everyone can go where God is taking you. Some people were sent to distract you, not develop you. Some friends are really enemies in disguise. If you want success, you must learn to walk away from noise, disconnect from gossip, delete the numbers that pull you into darkness, let go of connections that cause you to compromise. God won't bless what you're too afraid to release. The road to true success is lonely sometimes, but hear this. You are never alone when you walk with God. He will be your strength when you're weak, your defender when you're attacked, your counselor when you're confused, your provider when you're in lack. You may lose people, but you will gain purpose. You may be misunderstood, but you will be known by God. And that, my friend, is success in its highest form. Be known, led, and sustained by the one who created the heavens and the earth. Refuse to compromise your values just to fit in. You don't have to lie, cheat, or manipulate to succeed. If you must betray your character to win, then what you gained was never from God. Real success requires righteousness, and righteousness requires sacrifice. You may lose temporary comfort, but you will gain eternal reward. You may miss some opportunities, but you will attract the right ones, the ones designed for your destiny, not your ego. Let me speak into your spirit. God wants you to succeed. He takes no pleasure in your defeat, but He will not let success destroy you. So He waits until your hands are clean. He waits until your spirit is stable. He waits until your motives are pure. Because when He blesses you, He wants you to keep it. And what God gives, no man can take. What God ordains, no enemy can cancel. So stop chasing success and start chasing obedience. Wake up and ask God, what do you want me to do today? And then do it with passion, with excellence, with faith. Do it even if no one sees. Do it even if it scares you. Do it even if it stretches you. Because every step of obedience is a magnet for favor. Every act of obedience draws success toward your life. Hear me well. Success is not a place, it is a posture. A posture of humility. A posture of gratitude. A posture of worship. A posture of trust. When you posture your life before God, He positions your life before kings. He places you in rooms you didn't qualify for. He gives you influence you never asked for. He turns your private preparation into public promotion. And let me say this loud and clear, God wants your soul to prosper before your name does. If your platform is bigger than your character, it will collapse. If your image is greater than your integrity, it will fade. But if your soul is anchored in truth, if your life is rooted in faith, if your mind is stayed on God, then no wind can move you, and no enemy can break you. That is success. So now, right where you are, stop looking for success in man. Stop chasing what the world calls making it. Real success is walking in alignment with God's will. It's hearing His voice and obeying without delay. It's being bold when others are silent. It's being still when others are anxious. It's rising when others give up. It's forgiving when you want revenge. It's being faithful when nothing makes sense. You attract success when you stop making fear your God. Too many have let anxiety rule their decisions. But fear is a liar. Fear is not from God. If you are waiting to feel brave before you obey, you'll wait forever. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is obedience in the face of fear. It is saying, God, I don't understand, but I trust you anyway. That's the kind of faith that pulls heaven into your situation. That's the kind of faith that moves mountains, opens doors, parts waters, and makes a way where there was no way. If you want to attract success, you must let go of the past. God cannot fill a hand that is still holding yesterday's pain. Release the guilt. Let go of the shame. Stop rehearsing what they did. Stop replaying what you lost. What's behind you is over, but what's ahead of you is full of promise. Lift your eyes. Open your heart. Get ready. Because when you let go of the ashes, God will crown you with beauty. And remember, success is not instant. There is no microwave miracle. God works in seasons. Some seasons are for planting. Others are for pruning. Some are for preparation. And then when the time is right, comes the harvest. Don't give up in the waiting. Don't abort the process. Trust the timing. Because when God moves, He moves suddenly. What took years to build in silence will be revealed in moments. What was hard will become easy. What was blocked will break open. What was delayed will accelerate. Let me take you deeper into this divine truth. Success is not found in the clapping of hands, but in the quiet approval of God. If God is pleased, then you have already succeeded. If His presence surrounds you, then no crown, no title, no position, and no applause can compare. People chase validation, not knowing that the most powerful validation comes from the one who sees in secret and rewards openly. Stop asking the world to clap for what God already called good. The favor of God outweighs the approval of man 1,000 times over. God's yes is all you need to rise. Let me tell you something that will separate the average from the anointed. You must learn to be led by conviction, not by convenience. Success is not found in comfort zones. Success is born in the fire of testing, in the furnace of discipline, in the lonely nights of obedience. When your flesh says no, but your spirit says yes to God, that's when heaven takes notice. That's when the unseen realm begins to shift. That's when the seeds of success begin to grow under the soil of your sacrifice. You cannot be casual about your calling and expect to walk in divine greatness. You must be fierce, focused, fixed on God like a lion, fixed on its prey. Listen carefully. True success begins when you conquer yourself. It's not your enemies that are holding you back. It's your own lack of discipline. It's your excuses, your distractions, your desire for ease over elevation. God cannot bless who you pretend to be. He blesses the real you. The version of you that wakes up early to seek His voice. The version of you that says no to temptation when nobody is watching. The version of you that still praises Him when the storm rages and nothing makes sense. That version that's surrendered, sanctified, spiritual versionis, who God pours success into. And know this, success requires vision. Not the kind you see with your eyes, but the kind that burns in your spirit. If you cannot see it in your soul, you will never hold it in your hand. Vision is the divine picture God paints on the walls of your heart, and it gives you direction when the path is dark. When you walk with God, He gives you dreams bigger than your environment. He gives you hope stronger than your past. He gives you insight that cuts through confusion. But you must protect your vision. You must guard it from doubters, dream killers, and the noise of the world. Keep your focus on what God whispered, even when it hasn't shown up yet. Because what He promised, He will perform. Let me speak this with fire. You must learn to walk by faith and not by sight. Sight will deceive you. Sight will say there's no way. Faith will say God will make a way. Sight will show you obstacles. Faith will remind you of the one who speaks and mountains move. Sight will make you feel small. Faith will tell you that you are walking with the God who holds galaxies in His hand, and when you live by faith, you begin to attract miracles, you begin to draw breakthroughs, you begin to walk in rooms where your resume doesn't qualify you, but your obedience does. There is a power that comes when a person decides, I will not live by fear anymore. Fear paralyzes potential. Fear kills dreams before they're even born. But when you rise and say, I trust God with everything I am, you attract a realm of success that no school, no money, no man can offer. That success is divine. That success is holy. That success sets you apart. That success makes you a magnet for resources, for revelation, for righteousness. Because faith attracts the power of God like lightning to a mountaintop. But hear me, success also demands separation. You must learn to walk alone before you can walk in abundance. There are some heights you cannot reach with crowds around you. You must get away from those who drain your energy, distort your vision, and disrespect your calling. Stop trying to explain your growth to those who are committed to staying small. You don't need permission to rise. You don't need approval to obey. When God calls you higher, He often calls you away from noise, away from compromise, away from distraction. And it is in that holy place of separation that your next level is born. Don't forget, success begins in the mind. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. If you think small, you will live small. If you think defeated, you will attract defeat. But when your mind is saturated with the promises of God, when your thoughts are filtered through His truth, then success is not just possible, it becomes inevitable. Renew your mind daily. Feed your spirit more than your flesh. Starve the lies. Feast on faith. Think like someone chosen. Think like someone appointed. Because you cannot live beyond your thoughts. And let me touch on something crucial. Gratitude is a magnet for success. When you are thankful in the wilderness, you attract the breakthrough. When you praise God in lack, you open the windows of abundance. Gratitude is not just polite, it is prophetic. It declares, I trust God's hand even when I don't see His plan. And that trust moves mountains. That trust opens rivers in deserts. That trust confuses the enemy and empowers your soul. Be grateful even now. Be grateful in the waiting. Be grateful in the stretching. Because success follows those who carry gratitude like a crown. Now lean in even more. Success does not mean everything will be easy. In fact, the closer you walk with God, the greater the battle. But the battle is not the absence of success, it is the sign of it. It's proof you are threatening darkness. It's evidence that you carry something valuable. You don't get attacked for being empty. You get attacked because you carry divine oil. So stop crying over the fight and start praising God for the fire. It's refining you, it's sharpening you, it's preparing you. You are not breaking, you are becoming. And never forget, every success story built on God's foundation begins with obedience, radical, irrational, inconvenient obedience. The kind of obedience that doesn't wait for understanding but moves at the sound of God's whisper. When you obey without delay, you access what others only dream of. When you obey even when it's costly, you unlock provision, protection, and power that cannot be explained. Obedience is the bridge between the promise and the manifestation. If you walk in it, success will find you even in the most unlikely places. God is not looking for the most talented. He is looking for the most surrendered. He is not impressed by your gift. He is moved by your submission. When you lay down your plans, your timing, your pride, your pain, and say, God, your will be done, you begin to walk in a realm of success that shakes nations. People will wonder how you got there. They won't see the nights you cried, the days you fasted, the prayers you whispered, the temptations you conquered, the storms you survived, but God saw. And He rewards in public what you endured in private. You want success? Then become a vessel. A vessel God can trust. A vessel that will not crack under pressure. A vessel that does not leak through compromise. A vessel that pours out what it has received. Because God does not bless you just for you, He blesses you to be a blessing. When success flows through you, not just to you, God keeps refilling, but when you hoard the blessing, it dries up. Be generous, be kind, be a light. And you'll find that success follows those who give more than they take. Let me tell you plainly, success without God is a curse. You may have fame, but no rest. Wealth, but no peace. Applause, but no joy. Don't envy the godless who rise fast. They often fall just as quickly. But when God builds you, He builds you to last. When He promotes you, no man can demote you. When He establishes you, storms may come, but your foundation stands firm. That is the kind of success that will outlive you. That is the kind of legacy that will echo into eternity. So here's the question. Will you trust God with your definition of success? Will you surrender your need for control? Will you allow Him to lead you even when the path makes no sense? Will you endure the season of silence, knowing that the sound of success is often born in stillness? Will you dare to walk alone if it means walking in divine alignment? Because if you do, if you truly yield everything, you will see what only a few have seen. You will walk in divine success, not because you forced your way through, but because you followed God step by step. And the fruit will speak for itself, the peace will confirm it, the doors will validate it, the presence of God will seal it. Don't chase platforms, chase purpose. Don't pursue influence, pursue intimacy with God. And when you do, success will no longer be something you strive for, will be something that follows you, flows through you, and lifts others around you. That, my friend, is success that never fades. That is success rooted in eternity. And that is the kind of success God is ready to release, if only you are ready to receive it. And now, I want to speak directly to the depths of your spirit. You will never attract divine success if your heart is still chained to the approval of people. The fear of man is a trap. It will silence your courage, blur your vision, and rob your identity. When you are more concerned with what people think than what God has commanded, you forfeit the greatness He has placed within you. You cannot walk in God's power while bowing to human opinion. You must rise with holy confidence and declare, I will follow God even if I stand alone. Because true success is not popularity, it is purity. It is integrity. It is walking with God when no one else understands. There is something sacred about walking with unwavering focus. You cannot be easily moved by noise if you are deeply rooted in purpose. Many miss their moment because they are too distracted by what doesn't matter. They scroll for hours and pray for minutes. They feed the flesh and starve the soul. And then they wonder why success feels so far. Let me be clear. What you feed will grow, and what you starve will die. Feed your faith. Nourish your vision. Starve your doubts. Mute the voices that poison your peace. And above all, tune your ears to the voice of God. Because when He speaks, confusion clears, direction comes, and power flows. Listen closely. Every divine success is birthed through discipline. Not talent, not charisma, not luck discipline. The ability to say no to temptation, the strength to get up early and seek God, the power to control your emotions when everything within you wants to retaliate. Discipline is the altar where greatness is sacrificed and success is forged. God will not entrust influence to those who can't manage themselves. You must govern your appetite, your habits, your relationships. The hand of God rests upon those who are ruled not by impulse but by conviction. If you master discipline, success will follow you like a shadow at noon. Let me remind you, success is not the absence of battle sit, is the presence of God in the midst of them. If you think a successful life is a painless one, you've believed a lie. Some of the most favored people go through the deepest waters. Why? Because pressure produces power. Trials birth authority. Pain forges wisdom. And in the fire, you don't just learn about God, you encounter Him. You learn to lean on Him, trust Him, wait for Him. And the success that comes from that kind of intimacy cannot be explained, it must be experienced. Let this truth strike deep. God will never promote who you pretend to be. He only blesses the version of you that is surrendered. Stop performing, stop comparing. Stop trying to imitate what looks like success on others. God didn't call you to be a replica, He called you to be a revelation. There is something unique in your journey, something sacred in your scars, something divine in your voice. Don't hide it. Don't dilute it. Don't bury it. Rise up and walk in the fullness of who God designed you to be. Your authenticity is the key to the door you've been trying to open. And hear me now, what you tolerate will determine what you attract. If you allow chaos, you will repel peace. If you tolerate dishonor, you will lose your sense of worth. If you live among deception, you will confuse your discernment. Draw a line in the sand. Protect your peace. Honor your purpose. Guard your soul. Because success requires standards. You must elevate your expectations, not in pride, but in reverence. Because what God has placed in you is holy. It must be stewarded with wisdom and protected with courage. Success, my friend, is not random, it is intentional. It is the result of a life built on sacred choices. Day after day. The choice to pray when it's easier to sleep. The choice to speak truth when silence is safer. The choice to forgive when bitterness feels justified. The choice to stay pure when compromise is applauded. These are the building blocks of divine success. And when God sees these choices, these holy, quiet, unseen sacrifices, He responds with favor that shakes the earth. You must also learn the power of alignment. Because success is not just about what you do, it's about where you are planted. Are you positioned where God wants you? Are you listening to voices that feed your spirit or drain your strength? Are you pouring your time into assignments that carry eternal value, or wasting it on temporary thrills? Alignment is everything. A seed can be perfect, but if planted in the wrong soil, it will never grow. Get planted in places where God is present. In atmospheres where your faith is stirred. Around people who challenge you to rise, not settle. And let's go even deeper. Your success is tied to your level of trust. The more you trust God, the more He can release into your life. But trust is not just words, it's action. It's walking in peace when the storm is raging. It's giving when you're down to your last. It's stepping out when there's no safety net. Trust is raw. Trust is radical. Trust is the language that moves heaven. If God knows He can trust you to trust Him, then He will pour out what you didn't even ask for. Success flows in the current of complete surrender. Let me shake you awake. You are not waiting on success. Success is waiting on you. It's waiting on your courage. It's waiting on your obedience. It's waiting on your discipline. It's waiting on your alignment. Stop saying one day and start declaring, this day I choose to walk with God. This day I let go of excuses. This day I rise above the limitations I once accepted. This day I step into the identity God has spoken over me since the beginning of time. Because the moment you align with His voice, the moment you choose purpose over comfort, that's when success begins to unlock. But remember, the success God gives will always point back to Him. It will never be about your name, your fame, or your empire. It will be about His glory, His kingdom, His purpose in the earth. If the success you seek is for your ego, it will eventually destroy you. But if it is rooted in humility and fueled by a desire to serve, it will multiply beyond your imagination. God trusts those who reflect His heart. So check your motives. Refine your intentions. Make sure your deepest desire is not to be seen, but to be useful in God's hands. And finally, understand this deeply: the reward of success is not just material, it is spiritual. It is peace that cannot be shaken. It is wisdom that guides without confusion. It is joy that doesn't depend on applause. It is influence that uplifts others instead of crushing them. It is legacy that echoes beyond your lifetime. This kind of success cannot be bought, copied, or manipulated. It is born in the fire of God's presence and sustained by the fear of losing Him. And now, I want you to open your heart wider, because what I'm about to declare is not only truth, it is divine revelation. You see, the kind of success that comes from God is not a possession, it's a transformation. It's not about acquiring more, but about becoming more. When God calls you to success, He's not calling you to comfort, He's calling you to be changed. The greatest miracle is not when your situation changes, it's when your character changes in the presence of God. Because the higher God lifts you, the deeper your roots must grow. If your character does not match your elevation, your success will become your downfall. Let me speak directly to your potential. God has already placed everything you need within you. You don't need to beg anyone for your breakthrough. You don't need to compromise to gain access. The source of your increase, the key to your next level, the power to fulfill your assignment is not outside of you, it's within. It was deposited by God Himself before you were even born. And success comes not when you search for what's missing, but when you unlock what's already there through obedience, discipline, and unwavering faith. But understand this clearly, you cannot operate in the fullness of what God has given you if your life is out of order. Chaos blocks clarity. Disobedience cancels direction. A cluttered spirit cannot receive divine instruction. If you want to attract success, you must create space for God to move. Clear your heart of resentment. Cleanse your mind of toxic thoughts. Organize your time around what matters eternally. Success flows into order. And when your life is structured around the fear and reverence of God, the flow of blessing will be unstoppable. Now let me stir something even deeper within you. Success is not always loud. Sometimes the most powerful victories are silent. They happen in private battles no one sees. The success of turning away from temptation. The success of choosing silence over revenge. The success of staying consistent when no one claps for you. These victories are invisible to the world, but they are celebrated by God. Because God sees beyond numbers, beyond titles, beyond applause. He sees the soul, and He rewards what is done in secret, with results that cannot be denied. If you truly want to attract success, you must understand the mystery of divine timing. Not every door is meant to open now. Some doors require patience, perseverance, and process. Rushing will ruin what God is trying to prepare. Many fail not because they lack ability, but because they lack patience. They try to manufacture results instead of waiting for God to manifest them. But when you trust His timing, you will receive not just what you desire, but what is right. And the right thing at the right time is the foundation of lasting success. And let me declare this boldly, your atmosphere matters. You cannot soar while surrounded by snakes. You cannot grow where gossip is normal and negativity is tolerated. The people you keep around you will either stir your spirit or suffocate your vision. You need voices that remind you of your calling. You need people who speak to your destiny, not your dysfunction. Stop entertaining company that makes you comfortable in compromise. Success requires you to be selective with your circle. God will bring the right people, but you must let go of the wrong ones. Let's talk about the foundation. If your definition of success does not begin and end with pleasing God, you are building on sand. You can gain the whole world, but if your spirit is empty, you have lost everything that matters. The world teaches you to chase recognition, but God teaches you to chase righteousness. The world promotes platforms, but God prepares you in secret. The world pushes you to be known, but God molds you to be aligned. And when you get your priorities in order, success begins to find you. Because God rewards those who put Him first, not just in word, but in lifestyle. And let me make this truth unshakable in your soul. God does not bless arrogance. You can have skill, but if pride is in your heart, success will turn against you. Humility is the foundation of divine promotion. Stay low in your spirit. Stay teachable. Stay grateful. Because the moment you think you've arrived, you disqualify yourself from going further. Success is safest in the hands of those who know they are nothing without God. And those who truly walk with God don't use success to boast, they use it to bless. They understand that favor is not for flaunting, it's for serving. Let me take you higher. True success leaves a legacy of light. It doesn't die when you do. It impacts generations. It outlives your